Welcome back to the Mulberry Book Drop. Hi, Sarah.
What up?
It's December.
It is. I'm so excited.
What happened to this year?
You're for real.
Honestly.
Straight up. No idea.
Okay, so tell me something good.
I went to Disney.
Shocks.
I know. I know that's not a surprise, but I went to Disney and the weather was 50 degrees and it was at night, so there was no sun. And it was wonderful. I got to wear jeans and a crew neck sweatshirt, and that was it. And tennis shoes. But that's my favorite way to go to Disney. So I got to do it.
I am loving the cooler temperatures.
Oh, me too.
We are actually sitting here with a cup of tea right now. I don't keep the heater on in my house. It's 62 degrees. It's perfect.
Yeah, and the tea just smells so good.
It does.
What about you?
Well, I also went to the Orlando area, but I went to the Pink concert. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes, it was everything. I went with a friend of mine, and well, there was actually 5 of us that went, but we had to go over 2 different nights because we couldn't get all the tickets together.
Oh.
So I went the first night with a friend, and then the other 3 people went the second night. And she put on a great show, and it just solidified everything. I feel like we grew up together. So she's actually my age, which is always so weird to me when I see the things that she can do. But I don't know. It was phenomenal.
I do love a few of her songs.
Yes.
They're pretty great.
So many of them. But anything funny happened lately?
Yes. And this actually involves you.
Oh, no.
So there was, honestly, I don't even remember what the video was, but I showed Bethany a video on TikTok. I am a TikTok person. And when she was reading it, she was like, I don't know what any of this means. And I was like, what do you mean? And I was literally like, what do you mean you don't know what it means? Just read it.
And I literally did not know what any of it meant.
So if you are not familiar with the phrase, there is a new phrase out there called delulu. And it is delusional. That's what it means. Delusional. And so that was one of the things. And you were like, I have no idea what that is.
And I thought it was discontinued Lululemon. I had no idea what it was.
No, it's delusional, but it's called delulu. And so that was, but when you were like, I don't know what it means. And then when we got down to what it was that you didn't understand, I just lost it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, because I don't know. I guess when you see it, it's like your brain is wired. And then you're like, what do you mean? And you didn't grow up with that.
I did not.
And so it's so cool. It's so crazy.
I didn't have a cell phone until I was pregnant with my first child. And we didn't have any of that text speak shorthand or any of that stuff. I just don't get any of it.
Which is so funny because when I'm texting, I don't use any. The only shorthand that I use is LOL and IDK.
Okay.
And that's just because I don't feel like spelling out. I don't know. But other than that, I literally spell out everything. I don't even, people do the U for you. I don't think I ever did that growing up. I don't know.
Yeah. I get confused sometimes by emojis as well.
Oh, I am an emoji person.
I don't always know what some of the emojis mean. And so every once in a while, somebody will send me a message that has too many emojis and I get really confused. I'm like, what are you trying to say? Because I use 4 emojis.
Yeah.
I use some of the different hearts. I use a couple of the laughy faces, but that's pretty much the extent of my emojis.
Well, and sometimes people will send you a message and they're being serious, but then they're like, oh, I need to make it lighthearted. Let me send a funny laughing thing too with it.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, what? And you don't understand the tone. Anyways, or we can get on a whole conversation about that.
We really can.
But what about you? Anything funny?
Well, yeah. So we went, how we've been going to the park for those outdoor workouts?
Yeah.
And we went to their special Veterans Day workout and my father was in town. And I will say this, my dad is probably the youngest 70-something-year-old that you will ever meet. He stays very active. But what the workout ended up being is kind of a high intensity workout, interval training. And so we had to do 24 squats, 24 push-ups, 24 lunges, and then we had to run around the sidewalk, the circle thing. And we had to do that. If you did the whole thing, it was 6 times. And we were all like, wow, okay. So we got started thinking we can do this. And, we had our kids and, my husband was with me. And so we finished the first one. And as we all meet back at our spot on the grass, we kind of looked at each other and we were like, I can't do 6. So we're like, well, let's aim for 3. So we did finish the 3, but we were so exhausted by the time we were done. And so the funny part though was the next morning. And so
Mm.
like when I got out of bed, I was like, oh my gosh, I hurt so bad. And then my husband comes out of the room, and as he opens the door, it was like the Tin Man. Like he just was like, ow,
Oh,
oh, ugh. And then it was like the next person comes out of a bedroom and the same thing. And so all day long, anytime somebody had to like stand up or sit down, we were in the kitchen at one point trying to see who could even still do a squat and how low could they go. We were so sore and laughing just all day long. And it was to the point where I think it took me almost 3 days before I could actually comfortably get in and out of a chair without like doing the face cringe. And it was just, it was a workout, and I've never felt anything like it. And you saw me,
I did.
ooh, you are walking funny.
I did. And then the next morning I was like, you're walking better.
Little by little.
Yeah.
But guys, it was no joke.
Yeah.
Like, and we had fun. Like, we were just laughing together and having a great time, and I would 100% do it again. But like, we were so sore.
Yeah.
So sore.
Mm.
But okay. So the other thing before we get into what we're here for today, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the city. If you guys don't already, please follow the City of Mulberry on their Facebook page for updates. They recently shared some renderings on Depot 303, which is going to be our new food eatery that's going to be in downtown Mulberry. Did you take a look at those, Sarah?
I did. Oh, they look so cool.
Doesn't it?
Oh, so cool.
Oh, I can't wait. Like, I'm really excited to see what restaurants end up in there and
Me
stuff.
too.
So definitely do that for some updates. And then they do also post their commissioner meetings. Those happen every 2 weeks on a Tuesday night. But you can always watch them after the fact. And I recently went to present on our Paws of Mulberry program. And that is actually a program that we have for some of our dog residents in the area. It's a free database that runs out of the Mulberry Library. And it's really just a quick thing where, like, if your dog gets out, you can contact the library and we can try to see if we can help locate the dog, or if someone brings a dog to us, we can contact the owner and get him home quickly. So if you guys have questions about those, you can always email us. It's themulberrylibrary@gmail.com. But definitely, like, you can watch that video and just get some more information on it. But, don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. So did I miss anything else? What else is going on in the city?
I would say to keep an eye out on our Facebook page as well at the library. We are actually already planning for the beginning of the year for 2024.
Oh,
which is so crazy. So we're already planning for like our Spirit Week and our Big Truck Day. So we will have a lot going on, and it'll be great. So stay up to date with the cities, like Bethany said, and also watch ours. So I mean, there's a ton. Mulberry's a happening place.
I always say good things are happening, but it's like they keep happening.
Right? Yeah. No, we just a happening place, and we're gonna keep happening.
I love it. I say that a lot. Okay, so anyway, why are we here today? So today we are going to be talking about epistolary novels. This is actually a writing style that I didn't realize I enjoy, and I actually tend to lean toward until I started researching it.
That's a really big word.
It is a big word. So epistolary novels, they're actually works of fiction, and they can be written fully in letters, or they can also just be told through like the occasional use of letters within a story. But over the years, this has grown. So if you look it up now, you'll see that a lot of the more modern forms of writing are also included. So for instance, like maybe lab reports, text messages, emails, those kind of things. Have you ever read a epistolary novel, Sarah?
Excuse me, sorry. I kind of. I read like half of one. And I feel like a lot of books now just incorporate it into their stories too.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that I read half of, I actually saw the movie first and didn't realize it was a book. But the movie was very much told as like the letters for like the first half of the movie. I'm going to say this wrong, but it's called the Guernsey Literary Book and Potato Peel Pie Society. It's like the longest title in the world. It's by Mary Ann Shaffer. I enjoyed the part of the book that I read. I just think where like I was going through one of my reading slumps,
Mm-hmm.
and I just couldn't finish it. But I was enjoying it, and it was very like fast paced,
Yeah.
super fast paced.
Well, and it is historical fiction. So
Yeah.
like content wise, just due to the time period and what was going on and what it deals with, it is a little heavier.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think that's it.
Okay. How do you feel about the use of like writing in stories, like whether it's handwritten or electronically?
I love it,
Yeah.
to be honest. Yeah. Like even The Lost Girls of Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Was that told in letters? It might have been. I could be wrong. I might be wrong. It's fine. But I love it. I think it's really cool, especially when letters are incorporated in stories. And I love it when it is like handwritten, even though it's obviously typed up in a book.
Right.
But I don't know, it gives it a little bit more pizzazz.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's cool.
yeah.
So random thought, have you ever noticed that they're doing this more with like movies and television too?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know that there's actually like a name for it as there is with like writing per se, but like the on-screen text in real time, like propelling the story forward. I'm noticing it more and more when I watch movies and television shows.
Yeah. Would that be considered the same thing as like when almost like narrating, but it's actually the letter?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it has the same purpose if you think about it.
Yeah.
You know.
What I was watching last night did it. So I was like, oh,
okay.
made me think of it.
Okay. I do find it to be really useful, but for like my personality, I do notice sometimes I get caught up trying to read the letter or the screen, and then I'm like missing the action that's happening. And so like sometimes it's there, but you don't actually have to read it.
Yeah.
Like it's still being, I don't know, it's still being shown to you somehow. And because I'm such a reader, I get very distracted by any language that's in front of me.
Me too. I totally keep subtitles on too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I'm glad I'm not alone in that because I'm always like, wait, what just happened?
I missed it.
I did. But, well, so as I was prepping for this, I realized I've actually read a lot of epistolary novels, and I was honestly surprised by this. I do find that, like I said before, it's like the whole idea that it happens naturally and it like propels the story forward. And I just think that it's a really cool tool for like storytelling in general. The only place where I personally really struggle seems to be with YA. And that kind of goes back to your funny story because it's the whole use of like the text messages and acronyms. Like I get very frustrated if I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have to stop and Google what these like 5 letters squished together stands for.
Right.
Like that's just a distraction for me.
Yeah.
So I do get a little frustrated sometimes.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think I don't know. I don't want to say that I find it cringy, but sometimes I do. Maybe it's because I am getting older that I'm like, I never talked like that.
Yeah.
Like I just never did.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I will say this though. I have a soft spot for authors who use song lyrics to tie like a story together. So like, as I was thinking about this, one of my favorite examples is actually, I love Grady Hendrix. He's like just a fun horror writer if you like horror, but he did a book called My Best Friend's Exorcism, and it uses popular 80s songs to like kick off each chapter.
Oh.
Yeah, it was so fascinating because it's like as you hear the title of the song or like a lyric or whatever, and like then you're just hearing, and it really puts you in the place of like where you are during this story. So like as a child of an 80s child, it just brought me so much joy.
Oh, that's awesome.
I loved
That's
it.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I guess I'm a music person too, so it just kind of.
Yeah. I get it.
Well, I did make a small list, and so I thought I would just kind of go through a couple of my favorites. And if you guys have any, I would really encourage you to share those with us because I am finding more and more that I really, truly do enjoy this style of writing. So my first one is actually Dracula by Bram Stoker.
I did not know that was one.
Okay.
I mean, I've never read it.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. I wasn't sure if you had ever read this one.
Mm-mm.
It's a book that surprised me. I actually liked it more than I was anticipating, and I liked it so much that I used it for 2 book clubs in my life. The first time I read it was actually with some friends, and then I used it again for like a book club with the library.
I remember you doing it with the library, yeah.
And we did it with the movie, which is hilarious because if you watch the original movie, you can actually see like the bats. You can see the strings.
Oh.
And so it's so much fun. It's a classic. But Stoker actually, he used a lot of letters and telegrams during the novel because he, in the book during the time period, like he traveled to Transylvania. So in order to communicate with other people, he was having to send these letters and telegrams. And so it kind of helped you understand, like, what was going on and the situation and all that stuff. But it was a really, really useful way to kind of keep the story going. So, and then my next one I actually read because I had decided to do this as a topic, and it's called Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. Did you ever have to read this in school?
No, I've never even heard of it, to be honest.
Okay.
Is this one I should have heard of? Probably.
Maybe. I don't know. A lot of schools, they used to use this a lot for like high school reading lists. And I remember when I worked at the bookstore, every summer we would do like a huge table for summer reading.
Yeah.
And this was one of the books that was always on the table.
Oh.
And so it was originally published in 1958. And when I was first Googling to like learn more, this book was on virtually every list that popped up concerning epistolary novels. It is told 100% through like lab reports, so progress reports. And in the book itself, it's actually like a sci-fi book, which I did not realize. This was not at all what I was expecting. I was very surprised.
I'm a sci-fi person.
Yeah. So Charlie has an operation to like basically turn himself into a genius. So he has a really low IQ. He has an operation. Now all of a sudden he's a genius. And he quickly learns that the world is not as gentle and loving as he once believed. Spoiler, Algernon is actually a mouse. And the story broke my heart because in the world in which Charlie originally lived, he just thought it was just this like comfortable, everybody loves each other, and then all of a sudden as you become a genius and you start seeing the world for what it actually is and you realize that people are mocking you or, it kind of broke my heart. I was very surprised. But what I really appreciated was in these progress reports that Charlie was writing, the way Keyes shows how the IQ like increased and decreased is the beginning of the book and the end of the book are just complete misspellings. So like as you're reading it, what those words are supposed to be and you can read it and understand it, but you're also understanding where Charlie is in this whole process. Yeah, it was very interesting.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah,
I might have to look into that.
It was a quick read, but like it was really interesting. 1958. I had no idea. So my next one, we're going to skip to 1996 now, which is the year I went to college. And I so remember this book, Bridget Jones's Diary by Helen Fielding. Did you ever read it, or you probably watched the movie?
I think I watched the movies with my mom.
Okay.
I'm not going to say how old I was in 1996.
I don't want to know how old you were in 1996. Well, so most of us probably know this story, and it was a fun read. And like, look, I get it. There are definitely flaws. Like there were things about this book that, in my opinion, she was a completely average sized woman who believed she was fat. So like all of that aside, though, some of the self-deprecating humor, the weird mistakes, the crazy things that happen, like it really truly was an entertaining read. And the reason this falls into the category is kind of obvious, but it's because she uses diary entries to tell the tale. And so it was just, there was a lot of humor in it that had me honestly chuckling out loud. So I kind of feel like there's a little bit of Bridget in a lot of us. And so I think this book was kind of relatable. And, a lot of us, whether we did it for our whole lifetime or not, like a lot of us did have moments where we were maybe journaling or doing diary entries. And so I think it was just a really relatable story.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that was based off a book until I started working at the library, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, huh.
It was definitely on the bestsellers list for a very long time when I was at the bookstore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my next one is a little bit of a heavier story, but this is probably one of the ones that I remember the most as having like letters in it because this book has really stuck with me. So it's called We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. And our coworker actually told me yesterday when I was talking to her about it, because she also has read the book. She said the movie is amazing. And I didn't even realize that there was a movie. So I have to look into that one. But mass shooter Kevin was only days away from his 16th birthday when he makes this decision that basically alters the lives of everybody around him. So the book itself was published in 2003. And in the course of this book, it's actually his mother, Eva, and she is sending letters to her estranged husband, Franklin. And the letters show her attempting to come to terms with what their son, Kevin, had done, and how she felt about it, perhaps what role she may have played in it. And it was a book that just really, like I said, super heavy, but it really has stuck with me. And it almost makes me wonder, when I originally read this, it was back when it first came out, so early 2000s. I don't believe I was even married yet when I read this, so I almost wonder if I reread it now, how I would feel about it as a mother.
Ooh,
I know.
that is heavy.
I don't know if I would, but
Yeah.
I do kind of wonder how I would interpret the story now, all these years later, like 20 years later. So yeah, but it's a good one. Very, very interesting use of those letters to kind of work everything out. I know.
That's heavy.
So my next one, I think you saw me reading once. This was published in 2019. As you guys can see, I'm kind of just working my way through the years here, but Pretty Guilty Women by Gina LaManna. Do you remember it had a pink cover and it had like the little umbrella on it?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was like, what are you reading?
Yeah. This was like total fluff for me. And I looked back at my Goodreads and that's basically what I said. This was fluff, but it was a pure delight. So there's 4 women. They all end up together in this one place. There's a murder. There's 4 different confessions. And then as you're trying to solve this story, what's sprinkled throughout is police transcripts. So again, we're looking at another method of writing and communication to tell the story. And so these police interviews that are like sprinkled throughout to kind of give you a chance to read them and try to solve and see like who's telling the truth, who, why, how, all of those things. And it was really, really fun. It was a fast-paced read, but again, I stress this is more of like just a palate cleanser. It's not some sort of deep, dark legal thriller or anything like that.
I love when you say palate cleanser. I don't know why. It just brings me so much joy when you say that a book is that, because now like that's what I think about.
Aw.
Like, I think when you first started working, I heard you say it and I was like, a what? And when you explained it to me, I was like, oh, that's so cool. And so now I'm just like, oh, what a good palate cleanser.
Aw. But I feel like we all need those sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's what gets you stuck in a rut, is if you're constantly always trying to do these like heavy, like you can only fit so much information in your brain before like stuff has to come out. Right? So it's like sometimes we just need like a cleanse and then we can like move forward with something else.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. That's funny. I didn't know you felt that way.
I do. I just love it. Okay, sorry.
All right. So my last one is the most recent book that I have. And this was actually the first one I thought of when I came up with an idea to discuss this topic. And it was The Appeal by Janice Hallett. And this was published in 2022. Do you remember me reading this one?
Yes.
Okay. I have suggested this to a few people. For the most part, everybody has enjoyed it. I had one person who had trouble following the story because of the way it's told. But so it's a mystery that drops you into a local theater group, which was just super fun backdrop. But this tragedy strikes during rehearsals and the reader is left trying to be like a couch detective, right? Because this entire book, the whole thing, is told only through text messages, emails, letters. Like there's no moments where you're just reading a paragraph of like a setting or dialogue or anything. Like you're literally just getting the information through these ways, right? Like letters and electronic content. But it was so much fun to try and unravel the mystery. And I remember when I was reading it, I had figured out one thing. I was surprised by some other stuff. And I remember they were like, hey, this one weekend, do you want to play a game? And I was like, no, I have to solve this mystery. I'm so close to the end. And I did. I think I had like 30 or 40 pages left. And I was like, I have to know if I'm right.
Yeah.
And I was so invested. It was almost, do you ever hear those commercials for, what is the game that you can play with your friends? It's like Hunt a Killer, like one of those games. It's actually like this big mystery game that you can do with your friends.
Oh, okay.
And that's how it felt to me. Like I felt like I was playing that game and I was really invested in trying to solve it.
That's cool.
And then the big surprise that I just learned, I think like 2 days ago when we were processing new books, there is actually another book and it's The Fairway Players. It was just released and it's called The Christmas Appeal. It's a
Oh.
little novella. It's written in the same exact style,
Hmm.
follows the same playhouse. So I put myself on the list immediately. So I'm excited to get my hands on that. And I think that'll be my holiday read for December.
Yeah. Oh, I think I might need to read it.
It was entertaining. And the one person that had expressed their, like, I had trouble following, I get it. I
Hmm.
do. Like, you really have to be patient in the beginning to get used to how it's being told to you and to
Yeah,
make sure that you're following all the characters. But once I was in, I had no issues following it. So I thought it was a really fun ride.
that is. I like that. I like
Yeah.
that idea.
Well, thank you. So do you have any thoughts on this list or one of them that you want to try?
I definitely want to do the appeal.
Okay.
And Pretty Guilty Woman, maybe. I thought about that we need to talk about Kevin one, but that one, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do that one.
Yeah.
So, but they all sound so interesting. And I honestly, like, a lot of these I didn't even realize. I mean, they get checked out at the library and stuff, but I didn't even realize that that's how they're told.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
I couldn't find anything that said that it has to have like a certain amount of letters or like I don't necessarily know if that matters too much. But all of these have like a fair amount in them. So that's why I'm like fairly certain that they're going to fall into this category. And they
Gotcha.
showed up on a few different lists and all that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of the historical fiction and stuff now, because of the way people like to do those, where it's like, oh, I was in my mom's attic and I found these letters and this is what the letters,
Yeah.
it's becoming such a tool where all of a sudden you find the letter and then you go back in time and you solve this like family mystery. So it's almost like historical fiction. There's becoming this like crossover where it's historical fiction, but it's also an epistolary novel.
Hmm. On the flowers for what is it?
Algernon?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I like the creativity for that to be told 100% through lab progress reports.
Yeah.
Like, I just, how do you come up with that idea? That's
Yeah.
just really cool.
It was very interesting, and I mean there is a lot to be said. Like there's so much more story too when you see how Charlie and Algernon, like they were, competing together with like this maze, and it's because you're looking at the time period when this was written, so 1958. So when you think about what might have been happening in some of the mental hospitals and things like that at that time, like it really, the book itself is very much, to me, it was stuck in that time period.
Hmm.
Um, but I think there was so much to it. It just, I got a little stuck on the heartbreak of him. Like once he all of a sudden had this like great IQ and he goes back to the bakery that he worked at and the way the people were treating him. And it was like, that hurts. Like that hurts my feelings. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, Charlie, like
Oh,
now I want to protect you. And
yeah.
so it was kind of sad.
Oh,
But I don't, it was a very interesting story. I was never required to read it when I was in high school. And so I think that's why I picked that one because I just wanted to read something new before I talked about this. And so I
mhm.
was like, well, I'm going to at least pick one. And that's why I went toward that one because I never had to read it when I was in school. So,
Very cool.
yeah. Well, thank you. All right. Well, what are you reading now, Sarah?
Now I know this is going to come as a shock to everybody, but I'm reading a contemporary Christmas romance, and it's called The 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayliss. So I think I'm on like date 3,
Okay.
and so far they're hilarious.
Cute. So is
So,
it very like Hallmarky or is it more contemporary romance? Like where would you?
um, well, great question.
Okay.
I wouldn't consider it Hallmark,
Okay.
because so far, well, I don't know. To see.
We'll have to see how the dates go.
We'll have to see how the dates go.
Is
So,
anybody wearing flannel?
um, no.
Oh.
Her first date stood her up.
Oh.
This isn't a surprise. Like, it happens early in the book. The second date, he ends up bawling his eyes out in the middle of the date, and they're like trying to cook,
Oh, that's not a good date.
and like they're in one of those things like they're cooking with other couples.
Oh,
And
like a class thing.
yes, and he's like, I just miss her. Yeah, this whole thing. So she ends up like helping him and ends up helping him get back with the other girl. So, but now I'm about to be on date 3. So
Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, well, all right.
You'll have to let me know how things turn out for her.
I'm like, oh no. I'm like, this is hitting a little too close to home, maybe. What are you reading?
House of Sticks by Lee Tran. This is actually nonfiction. It was a memoir. And it's really interesting. Her family relocated to the US from Vietnam. And some of the stories in it are so, her father was actually like a prisoner after the war for like 10 years.
Oh.
So you learn a little bit about her parents' backstory. And I think one of my favorite stories that had come up was that her mom was so against wanting to be married that every time the matchmaker in the village would come to their home, if she saw them coming, she would run. And it got to the point where there was one time when she was trying to escape the matchmaker that she was like going across the river, like just into the river and just start. I was like, oh my gosh. So her mom was actually like, I think, what was it, 31? I think she was 31 when they finally caught her and ended up getting her married off.
Whoa.
It's very interesting. It's a fascinating story. Her one brother, when he finally graduated from high school and got into college, it was actually a school that's in my hometown. So
Oh,
I was
that's
like,
cool.
that's interesting. So it's always fun when you find a little nugget that gives you that little back
Yeah.
home feeling. So that's always exciting. But it's really good. I mean, you know, I love my memoirs sometimes, but I'm finding it interesting, even though it takes place in the US, learning more about her parents and getting this little glimpse into Vietnam and stuff, I'm finding to be really fascinating.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah.
I might want to read that one.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like it. So, all right. Well, if you guys happen to have any books that, you know, jumped out at you while we were talking that you want to give us a shout out about, please feel free to reach out. Sarah, where can they find us?
They can find us on Instagram and Facebook, and they can email us, themulberrylibrary@gmail.com.
Crushing it still.
Thank you. Sometimes I'm like afraid to like say, you can find us at the,
Yeah.
because then it doesn't sound like the in the anyways.
Or it's like when I said it at the commissioner meeting. And so for me, the and the are like very interchangeable. I don't
Same.
even think about
Yeah.
it when I say it. But at the commissioner meeting, the mayor, I love him. He was like, I'm sorry, what was that email again? And then I said it and he was like, he? And I said, no, the, like THE. And then I was like, I'm sorry, it's my New York.
Oh,
And then we all started laughing.
I busted out laughing watching that.
It was so cute. And it just never even crossed my mind the way I was saying it into the microphone, what it would sound like. And it
Yeah.
is different when you're like on mic versus talking in person. Sometimes that it does sound different. So
Yeah.
it was really funny. Like, oh, so embarrassing. But I love it. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. And oh my gosh, when we talk to you next, it will be 2024.
So crazy. We'll see you next year.
Happy reading, Mulberry.